guys, we're back. We're back from PRI, December 12th, 2023. You see that demon, I can tell you right now, that was on the screen a minute ago. I saw it in real life. We actually have an interview with Andrew Bostrom that we got at PRI. We were doing 1,000 interviews up there. It seemed like I walked a million miles. I know George followed me around with the camera a bunch. We have a whole bunch of stories for that. But of course, we always got to start this show off with thanking our marketing partners that help this come live to you for free every Tuesday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central on YouTube and Facebook. You can also listen to it on podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with all your buddies. Get that bracket racing content out there. TSR Racing Products, go to them for your Power Glides, Turbo 350s, Turbo 400s, 727 transmissions, BRG 3D printed parts. Anything you need, Brian Garrett will print it up right for you. High density plastics and polymers. If you need one of those GoPros on your 200-mile-an-hour car, he can make it happen for you. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas. Get your stickers, shirts, brochures, etc. from Syntex Printing. Driven Racing Oil. I have an interview with them as well. Justin over there was telling us a story about why you might be able to use a little bit lighter weight oil than you think in your drag racing application. Use the code GBR10, get yourself 10% off and test it out. Proform Parts, visit proformparts.com for your carburetors, alternators, starters, radiators, distributors, tools, and much, much more. Proformparts.com, Crew Chief Pro software. If you're down there at the SFG Christmas Bash that's going on right now, you might be racing in summer temperatures, but if you're out here, oh, you got it on the back screen. I see it right there. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not down there in Florida right now, you're going to be racing in some cold temperatures. You need Crew Chief Pro to help you out. Visit crewchiefpro.com. Get your dial-ins and your weather stations figured out. And, of course, if you want some of this cool-looking GBR merch, visit 8th Mile Apparel for your GBR hats, hoodies. I think they got baby onesies even. They got women's size shirts. They got everything, man, because I'm telling you right now, my wife told me forever, I don't want to wear a men's shirt. It doesn't fit me right. Well, they got women's shirts, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. So, George, here we are. We're back from PRI, man. We got a lot of stories to tell. We got in there on Thursday. There's a little something that Champ threw together that we might play here. We might play a little bit later. We got 1,000 interviews, it seems like. Man, there's a lot of walking.
Yeah, tell those 1,000 interviews to my feet. I'm going to be honest with you. I needed to pull an athlete and get me a bucket of ice by the end of the day and just go straight in, bare feet, straight into ice water. My feet were hurting so bad. All the way up to my calves even, Casey. Wasn't expecting, and we'll get into this, but the size of that place is a little bit breathtaking. Not just because we were walking so much, but it's just a massive convention center. Not to mention it's connected to a stadium, so you're getting kind of both in one big area, you know. So that was my first PRI, Casey, which again I know we're going to get into, but that was very fun. I definitely would like to make that annual. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're definitely going to make it annual, man, because the coolest part about the whole thing was how many people, existing friends and friends that we knew on through this show and just from racing, that we had never actually seen in real life, man. Like even TJ Pruitt, man, I feel like I text that guy, I feel like every week at some point. And, you know, we talk about all kinds of stuff just to do with racing and just general stuff that we're both building. We're kind of building something so sort of in the same realm. And we're standing at the Mosier booth on Thursday, just standing there. And all of a sudden, here comes TJ Pruitt. Here comes Ryan Gleghorn with his wife. Here comes Luke Bogacki. Here comes it was just like the bracket racers hangout. Unfortunately, of all the people, didn't get to see Danny Waters. And that's where he was, I think, the whole time. We must have just been rotating around, but it's all right. He lives down the street, so I can see him anytime I want.
All right. We ran into Nunez a few times. Pretty sure I seen Tedesco walking through, but again, and I seen Catfish Lynch. But it was just a busy, man. It was such a busy time. Everybody was pretty much inundated with what they had going on, either be it walking around looking at the huge amount of items on the performance market right now. And or shopping around looking for friends, whatever you want to call it. Definitely a lot going on there, and I was very happy with the amount of amount of interviews we got there, Casey. I mean, definitely a lot of information that we'll be able to hand out to the followers, to the community. What would you say if you could call it right off the top of your head? What was one highlight that you could call just right off the top of your head that you say this was worth my time right here if you can remember it? Doesn't have to be even bracket racing related. What'd you see?
Oh man, my highlight realistically was just all the people that came up and said they appreciate the show and just appreciate kind of what we're doing. But I would say if I had to pick one, it was kind of a bulk deal, which was just getting to hang out with my buddies, getting to be somewhere where I can literally talk about racing 24/7 and nobody gets annoyed with me. That was pretty cool. I haven't been to the PRI show in 20 years, man. I haven't been since I was like 17 years old. So now that I'm on a level where I really understand what's going on and what I'm involved with, I guess that's kind of a bulk answer, but
Yeah.
I would say if there was one thing, it was just simply being able to actually hang out with the people that we interact with on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and I would kind of piggyback off of that. It's kind of weird, and I don't mean to feel like a creep to most people, but we've been friends on Facebook so long. You walk past somebody and you're like, "Hey, do I know you?" I feel like I've seen you before, and it's like, "Well, duh, you got Facebook." So it's like, all right, you're friends with everybody, but you've never really had a chance to actually shake hands with them, have an actual conversation with them, and just being in the atmosphere, Casey, where we're surrounded by bracket racers. That was probably the highlight of my whole trip. Either at dinner or out and about or at the show itself. We always seem somehow to find our way around a whole lot of bracket racers. I remember running into Leighton Ledford, and he said Ledford. I got his number. I was like, "Oh man, you Lane Ledford." I'm like, "Oh shoot." All right, you know what I mean? I know the guy, but I've never actually met you before. You know what I mean? Or should I say I know of him? So that was pretty fun to be able to get the of out of know of and just say I know a guy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And here's the other thing. Our whole group of friends, most of the people that came with PRI or to PRI with us are my buddies from out here, and they're all in here in the chat. In fact, Tony Champion right here. We finally got to meet George. That was a lot of the highlights of their deal, man. They were all like, "Man, George's pretty cool." I was like, "Well, that's why I'm buddies with him." So so they were all enjoying meeting you, man. Our crew got out there. We got picked up. I call him Uncle Tony. He said I can't call him that because it makes him feel old, but I'm just saying, man, he's Uncle Tony. So he comes and picks everybody up. Dylan went over to get him, I guess, and then he goes to get Brandon, and then they come to get me. We get to the airport. Nobody's there. We're like, man, we don't want to wait in line. Well, there wasn't a line. It was just us. I can tell you on the way back there was, but that's another part of the story. But anyway, we get to the airport, finally get into, I want to say Indy at about 10:30. And we kind of rolled in, checked into the hotel, went up, got the lay of the land and everything. Again, everybody kind of met at the Mosier booth by absolutely a complete accident. Went to the Drag Illustrated party that night, which was pretty awesome. Shout out to Tommy Franklin, by the way. I don't know if he realizes this, but we were all up there in his VIP area. So thanks to Tommy Franklin for taking care of everybody all night. I think I owe Austin Brown a drink. That's a long story, but yeah, man. And then I want to say it was either Thursday or Friday that we were hanging out in the IHRA area where they were doing press conferences. I was talking to Doug Foley for a second, and then all of a sudden I'm going home on Sunday, and I turned the race on the way home to see what's going on at Immokalee, and Doug Foley's in the finals at Immokalee.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So he got out of there a little early, I guess, but that's pretty awesome. Good job out there, Doug. And hey, no, man, but you said it. We came to PRI. I didn't come with my longtime buddy Brad Gephardt, but he picked me up from the airport and drug me out to the hotel. I wasn't really expecting that. The day of, I'm about to fly out. He's like, "I got you from the airport," and I'm like, "Cool." So I didn't have to Uber to the hotel for the first I get there, but That was pretty awesome. You show up with your buddy, you hadn't seen him in a little while, and getting to chop it up, walk around, and do what we love, man. So definitely next year, Casey. I don't know, dude. Might just have to get the GBR room or make an annual party of it for the GBR followers if we can do something like that. Man, I'd like to get about 50 to 100 of us out there all in one big group and just go out and enjoy PRI. What do you think about that, dude?
That'd be quite the that'd be quite the reservation, I would say, because we kept going over to Kilroy's, which was right around the corner from our place. Michael Beard told me that's where all the bracket racers met up at, and yeah, it was pretty much all the bracket racers, man. It was a good time. Everybody that again, it goes every bracket racer that was there. They were all at Kilroy's. Michael Beard and Ron, the announcer, man. As soon as we walked into PRI on Friday, we're like, all right, we're coming in. We got in there. I want to say 8 o'clock or 8:30, and we're getting ready to do interviews. We've never done interviews on this level before, and we got a ton of them to bring out to you guys. We're not going to just dump them all at once because it's too much stuff to come out all at once. And to be honest with you, we got to break them up and get them all in order so they look good. But we walk right in the door to the convention center. There's Michael Beard and Ron, the announcer. Hey, man, you want to be our first interview? Get our feet wet here real quick, So we interviewed those guys. Obviously, Michael Beard's been on this show before, so that helped us out, kind of got us rolling, got us everything figured out. Had a great interview with them. Then they turned us on to this guy who again, we used the picture of his car to the intro of this video, so you can rewind it and see that car, man. But built this car, he said, in a dirt floor tent between the time he was 14, I think now he said he's like 35.
Right.
And he built it to the level of a modified eliminator car. That's going to be one of our interviews that's coming out that you're going to want to watch later. But they said, man, you need to interview this guy because you won't believe what happened here. So then there was another great interview. We got to interview ProCharger, got to interview Fuel Tech, got to interview Race Star Wheels.
Yeah.
And that's only a small portion. Randomly saw Luke and Jessica Bogacki walking through there. Hey, let's interview you too,
Right.
So
right.
We got tons of information coming out for everybody as far as PRI. We're kind of I had a list that was going to try to make it easier for us to go here, then here, then here, then here. Dude, there's no way that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's because you had a book. That wasn't no list. That was a book. I thought it had an index on it the first time I looked at it. Geez, you had about 70 or 80 different folks you wanted to stop and interview. I'm
Cite my sources.
Man, dude, my legs ain't going to take that. 80, man. I would have needed Tony. I'm glad you told me I can't call him Uncle Tony, by the way. I would have needed Tony to carry me back to the hotel room if that's the case. Big Z, man, that dude about 6'11" and a half or 6'75" or whatever he is. That dude is huge.
Yeah, they Champ got a picture with Tony Stewart. There's a funny story behind that whole deal. I guess the gist of it is that, see, his dad was there, so he told me the full story on it. But anyway, the gist of it is Tony went to Charlotte, I guess, to watch a NASCAR race like 20 years ago, and Champ knew that his dad was there, and he saw Tony Stewart, and he thought he was waving at him through the camera, and that's the real reason why that's his favorite driver. But anyway, he got a picture with Tony Stewart, so then he was on cloud nine the whole rest of the day. But I guess Uncle Tony looks at him and says, "I grow 'em big, Smoke." But anyway,
Smoke's looking up. It's like, dang, they put you in a race car? That's pretty cool.
It was also kind of funny, too, because everybody that's watching this show, I'm sure you all saw that NHRA said, this is the biggest announcement ever. It's going to be the biggest announcement ever. And then all of a sudden, it's Tony Stewart's replacing Leah Pruitt, which we all probably knew was going to happen. Maybe not replace her, but we knew he was going to run Top Fuel more than likely. And Tony gets up there, first thing he says is, well, I don't think this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in NHRA, but I'm going to run Top Fuel just so you guys know.
Right. He downplayed it pretty good, man. And you could almost hear, as big as that convention center was, you could hear all the air in the balloon kind of let out there for a second. And then all of a sudden it's inflated again because it is Tony Stewart, probably one of the best drivers. And I don't care what vehicle we're talking about. That we have in motorsports, guy can drive anything, obviously, but I enjoyed watching him compete at Top Alcohol kind of over the year, and I knew it was coming. It's it's kind of happened, to the Force girls where they, and next up, who knows? It's probably going to happen to Brittany, as I'm not for sure she's started her family quite yet either. So, I mean, there just comes a little bit of time where they got to, kind of get going. Got to bring the littles into the earth.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And we've both been there personally, and everybody gets there at some point, it seems like, and that's just how it goes. Bracket Racer 9622 it says IHRA announced their first Hot Rod Classic at Darlington Dragway May 2nd through 4th. And that's something, obviously, I posted on our Facebook page earlier this morning. I think it was just announced like end of the day yesterday. Dude, that's what we've been waiting for a long time. I think they're bringing back all the rod classes. They're bringing top dragster, top sportsman. They haven't released any information on payouts or caps on number of entries. Is it going to be qualified? What are we doing? I mean, Darlington could hold 800, 900 cars. So there probably aren't any caps on as far as I know, but I mean, they're going to have all three rod classes. They're going to have top sportsman and top dragster. They're going to have, looks like their normal weekend program, top mod and junior dragsters. So it should be a packed event, but we didn't hear anything at the IHRA event as far as purse structure or, caps. What can you run? Like, is it going to be like in top sportsman? Are you going to be able to run 570? Hopefully not, because that's just top ET race. So I don't know. I texted Mel Roth a little bit earlier to try to see what the plan was with that. So I guess if I hear anything back from him, then I'll let everybody know. Just pay attention to our Facebook page, and anytime we hear anything, we'll get it out there. So just pay attention. Don't forget to subscribe or follow or whatever it is on Facebook to get that information, because I'll put it out there if I hear back.
Good time to bring it up too, and I know everybody might be catching this, maybe not so much of a live show, but if you type !notify into the chat, you'll get every single thing that we post. It'll send a notification to you anytime we're live, anytime we post. You guys won't understand how many times I was approached at PRI and just kind of let me know that, not everybody's always getting our notifications, or they're not always seeing when we go live. And so in my research, I've found that typing !notify gives a little bit more of maybe it puts you in our algorithm just a little bit more. I think you can do that just about anywhere that you enjoy frequenting. And it'll give you more of a notification of when that particular page is live. So if you like the content here at Going Bracket Racing, always, of course, like and subscribe. But you want more notifications, !notify will help you out there. But Casey, man, I can't say enough about the community feeling that I got from being around bracket racers. It went a long way for me, man. Getting to run into Rex Simmermaker and actually chopping it up with Winlight Betts for the first time, even though it feels like I've known him forever, as long as GBR and Winlight Betts have been kind of conversating behind the scenes there, and even on this show. But it was really nice to match name with face there, dude, and I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. We got to hang out with them again I think we were at Kilroy's that night. I can't remember where we went, because that was the night that your battery died on your scooter, I think, where we were going. First of all, I got to tell this story. George gets on his phone, and if you guys don't know, you got to push the walk function, because otherwise it'll obey the one-way signs. So George is like, "No, guys, I got it in my phone. We'll go over here. It's over by, blah, blah, blah." So we all get on these little Lime scooters that you rent by I think it's like 50 cents a mile or something like that. So we all get on these little electric scooters, and it's George, Champ, me, and Brandon, and we're all following George to go to this place. Well, we end up in the middle of nowhere. Like, we're all of a sudden in an industrial area, and we're like, "George, I don't think it's around here." "No, man, it says on my phone. Here it is. Well, then all of a sudden, we're like, "This isn't right." George says, "Let's turn around. This isn't right." We turn around, George's battery dies. So then we're all hauling, because when those electric vehicle races, this is one of those things. George's battery dies. Well, we don't know, because it just stops out of nowhere. So we just think he's stopping, and we just all keep on going. And all of a sudden, George is running in the street next to us. So we're all like, well, get on one of ours. Get on one. No, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'll find another one. Don't worry about it. Running, running, running. Well, long story short, George gets on one. We figure out the restaurant we're going to is basically right across the street
from the hotel.
From the hotel where we started out at. And then I roll in, and all of a sudden my battery dies as soon as I go up the curb. It dies right there. So I was like, so I felt like I won that night.
Right. Hey. Don't hold it against me, guys. And that is what happened, Casey. I just forgot to hit the walking button. And hey, I think I also know another thing. You know, I'm from the Midwest area, Casey. That's where we're from, buddy. You know what I mean? I can remember many a night, me and you, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, we were headed right over to the White Castle. Well, where did we wind up? It's as if White Castle knew I was in the building and proceeded to carry us straight to White Castle when we were supposed to be going another direction. So that's what I think happened. White Castle knew I was there. My phone was like, George, your favorite restaurant's right around the corner. One of your favorite restaurants anyway. Why don't you head over there instead of heading where you're supposed to be? Yeah, that's what happened. I'm sticking to it, by the way. Campbell Grider says, 2 giants following George Atchison Jr. I know I'm not a giant, KG, you know. And I had really a couple pictures. I was like, y'all gotta let me in the middle. And then they put me on the end, and I'm kind of glad they did, because if I'd have been in the middle, you might that just would have just not done me no good. So I'm glad I was on the end.
Man, it was a good time for sure. There's lots and lots of stories, man, that like from this weekend. I mean, it's like Champ's saying, I never laughed so hard at George. Man, what else happened? Then we ended up going to then we went to Brad's hotel and hung out with him and his wife there for a little bit and talked about just all the stuff they got going on over at Central Illinois Dragway.
Right.
Brad's kind of got the dragster version going on of what I'm doing with my new car. So we talked a whole lot about that. We interviewed Andre Nunez, who's going to come on the show with us and explain us, you know, a little bit about how fuel tech is going to kind of change how bracket racing is. Man, who else did we talk to out there? We talked to Zach Fulcher.
Yeah,
we got to talk about his major win at Xenia. We talked to him about that. We talked to him about the Mr. Cool units, which are, you know, he gave us a lot of information on that. He told me those Mr. Cool units that he was with his buddy somewhere and they ran it off like an 1,800 watt generator because those things are so efficient for the entire weekend. So a lot of information in there. We talked to QA1 about a bunch of shock stuff. And these are all interviews, guys. These are all what's going to come out. These aren't just what George and I we didn't really have time to talk on the same time. What do you got to say?
Speaking of, Old Racer's here. He's saying, hello, guys. Ready for the interviews to come out? How are you going to release them? Yep, we don't just want to go into information dump, which is practically what PRI is. It is absolutely information overload, but it's fun at the same time. So don't skip it because I said that. Be there. But what's going to happen is we're going to get them all edited up, chopped up. We'll release both to YouTube and Facebook so that you guys can watch some of those interviews, get an understanding of some of the hot items in our sport right now, some things that are incoming, some things you may have known, some things you might not have known, especially as we went over to that Magna Fuel tent. I know we learned quite a bit, Casey, that we didn't actually know that we really needed to know. So there is some things that are going to come out that may be some aha moments for us to take away into our racing operations, things of that nature. So thanks for the question there, Old Racer, and we'll get them out to you as soon as possible.
Yeah. You know who, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not. You know who we talked to, which was kind of just a spur of the moment deal that we ended up talking to him for like 15, 20 minutes, was Brian Loans.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, man, I think our people would love to see you on the show. And he's like, yeah, man, just hit me up.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's pretty neat. I didn't put 2 and 2 together that he had his roots in bracket racing, but he's got his roots in bracket racing. So, I mean, go figure, right? All of it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We all kind of have our roots kind of ingrained into what I consider the best class in racing, but don't hold it against me, and I'm not against any other class either. So if I need to run a top fuel scooter, then I'll probably think about it once or twice, or
It
some of
just
those
might run out of
snowmobiles. You never
batteries.
know. Yeah, man, it might. But I tell you what, I was running just fast. Those scooters was moving because y'all didn't lose me in my nice shoes, booking it down the road to keep up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Hey man, we had a lot of good eats. We had a lot of good times out there. It's definitely. I told you before we went to PRI. I said, man, whenever we show up, this is like race air motorsports Disneyland.
right.
Um, was I accurate in that statement?
I would say 100%. More fun than Disneyland, however, I would say I've actually been, or Disney World, whichever one you want to call it. A little bit more fun because we're surrounded by everything that we actually love, from cars to wheels to parts to you name simulators, practice trees. I think I shocked Champ by calling out that negative 15. By the way, I was 15, 14, 15 after I actually stopped flinching. So I mean,
Hey, don't you're leaving out the
I
best
did it
one,
on purpose. Why?
which was at Larice, which by the way we got an interview with. Tell him, George, tell him what
Yeah, yeah,
happened.
yeah. I'm on a tree and I'm double O probably like 10 times in a row. I was actually one of the workers there at the Larice booth actually stepped on a tree with me, and he's got delay in the box and he's letting go on the bottom. I don't think he quite realized we were running off the top. Anyway, I told him we ran about 8 to 10 rounds, and I'm double O just about every hit. I warned Casey before he walks up, and I said, Casey, man, you better come with it. I'm double O every hit. Casey's like, well, I guess I just got to go triple O then. And I'm like, oh, you gonna try to go triple O on me, huh? So I was trying to go triple O too. I end up -2, and he's triple O. So yeah, I quit at that moment because I just didn't feel the need to race anymore in that particular point in time. But before we go to commercial break, since we're talking about practice trees, it's a great time. Great time. TB Promotions is back again in 2024. You're not going to want to miss any of his events, for me to be 100% honest with you. So as you look on the top right of the screen right here, right now, you see the 2024 schedule. And coming up right off the rip is the good old Derby City 5K, January 13th, 2024. I believe it's presented by Mullis Race Cars. And Mullis, if you want to send me a race car, I won't be mad at you. And I might let Casey drive it, right? But anyway, doors open at 12 p.m. It's going to be pretty fun. It's 5K off the top. I do believe pro pairings will be used. 1,000 to runner-up, 500 to semis, 250 to the quarters, and $100 to the eighth. So if you like practice tree racing, which I kind of like myself, wish I was a little bit closer, racederbycity.com is the place to go and get your ticket there. So again, guys, don't miss. Speaking of race number 4, 250K at 131. It's going to be probably one of the highlighted races of the year, in my opinion. Not taking anything away from any of the other races that are going on up here. So make sure you check them out and get what you need to be able to be at the race. Hang in there, guys. We're going to cut into some commercials here for a quick second. Give our marketing partners a little bit of time on the screen. We'll come back with a little bit more from GBR. BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top-selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
Innovation never sleeps at Proform, and we're making our popular Black Race Series carburetors even better by adding new features that will set them apart from the competition. Some of the newest features include a newly designed main body with contoured Venturas for better airflow, and a new inside and outside two-step down leg boosters for increased atomization and better throttle response. Also, newly designed fuel bowls with increased internal baffling for better fuel control and a lower fuel ramp for reduced turbulence. There are also some new upgrades to point out. The fuel bowls now both include nitrofill floats, and the throttle base plate now has slab shafts for better airflow. These new features, combined with a fully adjustable high-flow main body with screw-in air bleeds, billet metering blocks, high-performance billet throttle base plate, and aluminum fuel bowls with sight glass windows, makes for a great street strip carburetor that packs a punch.
Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
Oh yeah, welcome back, Going Bracket Racing here. Thanks for being part of the community, guys. Again, !notify to get those notifications turned on whenever we go live, whenever we make posts to our page. That way you're not missing out on any of the action. You just type it on in the chat like you're about to ask us a question, and it'll take care of making sure those notifications are turned on. Special shout out to all of our marketing partners for everything that you do for us here at Going Bracket Racing. It was very nice to meet the majority of you guys and get a chance to chop it up and meet you in person and give you an understanding of who Casey and I are and our passion towards the sport that we all love and continue to compete in. So, Casey, man, as we continue with what we got going on here from PRI on this episode of Going Bracket Racing, what else do you think we need to talk about here? It's tough because we can't really give out too much of the information to let you guys dangle a little bit, get that dangle effect before the good interviews come out there. What you got, Casey?
Man, I guess the thing that I want to kind of talk about to close out the show, so to speak, is, PRI is all about learning things, and you can go straight to the source there. And so anything you want to know, you can go talk to somebody, and you don't have to go through, call customer service. Let me transfer a call. Let me do this. Let me do that. You can go straight to a person who is knowledgeable about exactly what you're talking about. And if they don't know, they go pull this guy over here or this gal over here and say, hey, tell me about this, or talk to this guy. This is who you want to talk to. And you talk to basically the head of every department in anything. So what did you learn at the PRI show that you otherwise wouldn't have known?
So one thing I really did kind of, and I don't want to give up too much of what you're going to be able to watch. One thing that interests me pretty severely were the lack of restrictions in junior dragster. From the wheels to the tires to the whatever in the heck is going on in that class. Definitely want to get a little bit more knowledge behind that. Eventually, if the Lord wills it, I'll have my boys in the sport running a junior dragster one of these days. And so the more I know about it, the better. Just preparing myself with a little bit of knowledge to take forward into turning them into bracket racers. But I really found that interesting. I think you guys, I don't think that portion, as a matter of fact, as I go back into it, Casey, that portion's not actually in the interview. We were just standing there with, I believe his name was LB, and just kind of chopping it up for about a good 20 minutes about things that really, really take a toll on the sport, things that we didn't actually know. We actually ended up speaking about, this is one thing you all are going to find interesting, and I didn't put two and two together on this at all, but are wheels consumable? Are the rear wheels of our race cars consumable? There's enough studies that say the answer to that question is inside of the interview that we had there with LB. So that was really interesting to me, Casey.
Yeah. I guess personally for me, I have a lot of stuff, man, because, obviously I'm building a brand new car, and I talked to ProCharger about something. I talked to Fuel Tech about something. Speaking of, anybody who's interested in any of this Fuel Tech stuff, the FT700, it was supposed to be released, I want to say like 3 months ago, and it's back ordered like crazy. And a lot of people are worried about, like, well, how long is it going to take to get the stuff? I asked Luis, who's pretty much one of their main guys. He's the guy you always see in all their fuel tech videos doing the dyno stuff and everything. I asked him, what's the likelihood? How long is it going to take to get one of these once you finally release them? And he said, well, first of all, they should be released within about a month or so. And he said, secondarily, they found a manufacturer that'll make like 1,000 at a time. So he said he doesn't think they're going to have to worry about the whole back order thing. Like a lot of people were thinking it was going to be months till they got it. So, realistically, everybody, as soon as they start releasing those, keep an eye out, because you're going to find 600s for a dime a dozen. But my personal side of things was talking to Edelbrock, who owns Lunati now. Holly owns everything now. Edelbrock owns what they don't own, it seems like. So I talked to them about the crankshaft that's in my car versus the crankshaft that's in Dad's car, and got some clarification on horsepower ratings and how hard I can push it and what you think it's going to. Basically, he told me the difference was the heat treatment process, and it's actually the same material. And he said up to the horsepower range I want to run probably is fine, just kind of baby step my way up there. I would say another interesting thing, again, was with Driven Racing Oil, one of our marketing partners. Whenever I was talking to them, getting explained why a drag racing engine can actually use lighter weight oil than we personally thought. And whenever they have time, we're going to have someone on the show to specifically explain to you guys why that is. And it's something that I never personally thought of. And as soon as he said it, I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But I never would have thought of it. My bearings look good either way. So Quality Oil will provide that. But that's more information is in the interview we did with Driven that will be coming out in the next couple weeks also.
Yeah, and it's hard to even go into it because I want everybody to hear it directly from Driven. Justin did a great job with the interview there. That was kind of interesting as well, Casey. As many times as we walked up to someone for an interview, how many times we walked up and people said, I don't do interviews. And we actually talked them into it. And it was a great interview. And it's like, okay, guys, if the camera wasn't here, what would you do? What would you do? And then they did that. And then the interview was good. So that was pretty that was fun to actually walk people through, as well as we walked up right next to Alex Laughlin, by the way, and he's probably thinking, oh shoot, here comes a camera and a microphone. We walked right past him to the manufacturer, Pro Chargers, where we were, I believe, and that was pretty fun, Casey, dude. So to say the least. What's going on in the chat? Anybody got questions? We definitely, if you went to PRI, I see Greg Garpard in here. I got a chance to hang out with him and Vashon and Brad, and we went over to what I would call one of the best steakhouses I think I've been to, and had it Izzy style. So don't get me lying on the name. I know it's something in Izzy's, and for some reason the first part is just eluding me, but I want to say it may be part of St. Elmo's or one of those other big name bar and grills steak shops that are sitting right there.
And don't forget, the real Uncle Tony called you a tightwad.
He did, man. Hey, but he's not wrong. I watch my ends quite a bit. He called me out though, Uncle Tony. My uncle shows up, and him and Todd actually showed up. It was pretty neat to get to run into them out there, and he called me Harry and Izzy's. There it is. I see old Rex is in here, and
how about Steak and Shake?
Steak and Shake was the spot, honestly. I mean, it was like, a block away from the actual convention center. So we walk in there, which you'll see tomorrow, I believe, Casey, looking at the time here. Tomorrow's probably going to be when we're going to air Champ's vlog. And don't miss that, guys. This is actually pretty good insight of what we actually just went through for the whole weekend. It's probably going to make all of you want to come on out and get there for the next year. So we go to Steak and Shake. Number one, I don't know what's going on in Carolina. Y'all don't know nothing about Steak and Shake. But you do now, because Steak and Shake is good, number one. Number two, all the Street Outlaws walked in. So that was pretty cool. We're all in Steak and Shake, not once, but twice, me and you, Casey. I mean, Steak and Shake was the location for us. And each time, the Street Outlaws were in there with us. So that was pretty fun. The first go round though, Casey, it did take a cool hour to get fast food.
We picked a wave.
Go
We
ahead.
picked a way better time the
Oh.
second day.
If that gives you guys any inkling of how many people were actually out and about on the streets of Indianapolis downtown an hour at Steak and Shake. And they looked like they were well prepared. It's not like they've never seen PRI come through. And I bet you that Steak and Shake's probably been there for a while, so it's been the popular spot for a little bit.
Yep, that's right, man. They're all talking in here. We got Dylan Champion talking about Rockingham was a great interview. Yeah, I forgot we did that, man. Dan actually added me on Facebook, and that's a great man. Rockingham Dragway is going to be a great spot to be. Dan actually said they're going to grind the track this year,
Yep.
so it's going to make it a whole lot smoother. They just repaved 800 feet of it. A lot of information in that interview. They have 2 dates. There's only 2 dates between basically now and December of next year that are available at Rockingham Dragway. So, I mean, they're doing tons of stuff. And if you guys are Mopar fans, evidently they're big time Mopar fans. They don't like their wallets.
Yep. Nope. Definitely big Mopar fans. Think they got a Super Chevy event too as well. But one thing I know for a fact is I believe they have 3 big money bracket races coming into that track, and looking for big things out of that area. Carolina's getting the love that they always get, and understandably, as there's quite a bit going on there from the bracket racing scene, from the racing scene in general, if you think about it from the Carolina standpoint. But good to see that track get its makeover. I believe they said they had a new tower on that track, maybe even a new timing system. I think it was AccuTime that they put into their track. So definitely looking forward to watching that on Motor Mania. If not, jumping on a plane and heading over there to be there in person. If I could talk Casey into driving old Nova, old Blue, maybe we double up on old Blue or something. But
yeah,
I'm dreaming, guys. I'm dreaming.
It can take it. It can take it, man. It's that's a street car now.
Yeah. Austin Thompson in here says, if Rockingham can get the surface good, we will be back for sure. Always loved racing there. Austin, hey man, I don't think you're going to have much trouble with Rockingham next year. One thing I liked is if I had to zoom in on the man's arm who was speaking, I think, what'd you say his name was, Casey? I done forgot.
Dan and Al.
Dan or Al. I don't care which one I pick. If I was just so happened to zoom in on their arms, I bet you can see goosebumps raised up. That's how they spoke about what they're doing with that track. You could definitely tell their hearts and their minds are behind what they got going on at Rockingham's. Make sure you check that interview out. It's a very good one, actually.
Yeah, man. And we were hanging out with the Thompson brothers at what was that place called? 10 something. Across the street from the hotel. Shout out to Tony Champion, man, for helping us out with the hotels and everything, because we were on the fence about, man, we don't know if we can go, we don't know if we can do this, and that's really the reason why we ended up going. So he's really who we need to thank more than anybody about this whole deal.
That's a fact, and it was heck of a good time I had running around chopping it up with Uncle Tony, because I did see in the chat he did say we can call him Uncle Tony, but don't call him Sir or Mister or none of that. Okay, don't y'all call Uncle Tony Mister or none of that. Okay, you're gonna have to deal with these guns. Dude, I ain't playing. No, anyway, definitely a big thank you, Tony. That definitely made the trip. Number one, you guys being there, us being in a group like that made the trip more fun than you can imagine. And number two, good luck getting rooms in that area. So if you get ready to go to PRI, you might want to know using Uncle Tony, because I think he's probably pretty high up the totem pole when it comes to getting a pretty good hotel room. So, hey, it was good hanging out with Shelby Shuttlesworth Gleghorn. That's Ryan's wife. I seen the middle there. So Shelby Gleghorn, we had a good time. I think you got quite a few signatures, if I'm not mistaken myself. I think Casey might have been gone. He got a little sick that one day, or got pretty tired, and the voice was kind of running out on him, so he had to get up out of there. So
I was tired, man. I slept 6 hours in 3 days. So that's kind of how it goes. I was actually, more than anything, I was just worried my voice was going to go away. I wasn't sick. I was just tired.
Right. I see a question out of Brad Gephardt, because I kind of toiled the idea. We had 5 pretty solid racers, if I'm including myself into the mix. But we had 5 pretty solid racers sitting at the table. And Team GBR to Holly Springs got talked about quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, Brad, no announcement yet, man, but we got to keep that on the table. I think that would be quite a bit of fun, dude. to have all of our cars out there. Most likely, probably would be either all door cars, unless Brandon brought a dragster out, which don't put it past him. He bring a dragster with him. So
me and Brad were both talking about whether we would need to throw the chutes or not, because
right.
he's going to have that fast dragster, and I was like, well, if I'm going, I'm bringing my fast car. So
right, right,
just cause. But
right.
yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of stories, man. This is only a the short story, I guess, of everything. But I guess the long story short of is that PRI is going to be something we're going to go to every single year. From now on, Lord willing that we can all go.
Yeah.
But it was a great time, and we can't wait to see everybody back there next year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, as many people as possible is the way I see it. I don't know if I posted it, but PRI 23 was a blast. Now let's try to get about 50 of us out there for PRI 24. We can't go wrong, guys. You're going to be in the middle of everybody who does what we do. You can't go wrong coming out to PRI. That was my first time there, and it definitely unless I can't do anything to not be there. If something happens to keep me from going, I'll be back probably every year for the foreseeable future. So, Casey, what you got in closing, man? We coming up on that hour mark.
Oh man, as always, like I said, everybody watch out on the GBR channel, because there's going to be a ton of stuff. We're not going to have a show next week, but we will be back the following week. We're going to get some of these interviews trickling in, so that way you guys have some things to look at. But as always, man, thank you to TSR Racing Products, BRG 3D Printed Parts, Syntex Printing, Driven Racing Oil. Don't forget to use the code GBR10, get yourself 10% off. Proform Parts, Crew Chief Pro software. And if you want some GBR merchandise for Christmas, you can still get it from 8thmileapparel.com. They got everything that you would want. Put it under your tree, man. You could put a GBR hat on top of the tree. Maybe you don't have a star. There you go.
That'd be pretty cool. But on behalf of GBR, make sure you, again, type in !notify. That way you get every time we go live. And I guess we'll see you then. The next time we go live will not be next Tuesday. Get ready to see some of that footage coming out. So make sure you have all your notifications on to catch all the interviews that we actually did. See you guys in a couple weeks. Have a good one.